Behind the Scenes, 30 Years a Slave and 4 Years in the White House by Elizabeth Keckley. Elizabeth Hobbs Keckley, 1818-1907, was born enslaved in Dinwiddie County, Virginia. Keckley experienced harsh treatment under slavery, including beatings and sexually assaulted by a white man by whom she had a son named George. She moved with her owner's daughter, Anne Garland, and she became a dressmaker and supported Anne's household for over 2 years with her job salary as modiste and seamstress. Around 1952, she married James Keckley, discovering only after that he was not a free man. So prior to her marriage, Elizabeth, or Lizzie as she was known, had negotiated with the Garlands, the family that owned her, to purchase her freedom and that of her son. However, she could not raise the required amount of money, $1,200, to buy her freedom. However, sympathetic customers loaned Lizzie the money to buy her freedom and that of her son George in 1855. In 1860, she left her husband and moved to Washington, where she set up a dressmaking shop. In that shop, most of Keckley's clients were the wives of influential politicians, and she became the dresser and confidant of Mary Todd Lincoln, the wife of Mr. Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States of America. After Lincoln's assassination, Keckley made several attempts to raise money for Mrs. Lincoln, and it is said that Keckley published this book, Behind the Scenes, in 1868, partly to help Mrs. Lincoln and partly to counter criticism of Mrs. Lincoln. She left Washington in 1892 to teach domestic skills at Wilberforce University, and she died after a stroke in 1907. The first chapters of this book, Behind the Scenes, describe Keckley's childhood and life in slavery. Writing against the Antebellum myth of the happy slave, Lizzie observes that slave owners were the cause of much suffering. She began her life as a slave, but she became witness to the presidency of Abraham Lincoln. At the age 14, Lizzie is sent to live in North Carolina as a loan to Colonel Burwell's eldest son. During this period, she is raped by a white man, and due to this fact, she gave birth to her son, George. After several years, she becomes a seamstress and a dressmaker. She then quickly acquired a good reputation and a large clientele. At this time, she begins to consider a marriage proposal to James Keckley. She negotiates with her master, Mr. Garland, to buy her freedom and her son for $1,200. However, Lizzie soon leaves her husband and moves with her son to Washington, D.C., where she opened a dressmaking shop. Here in Washington, D.C., she is referred by one of her clients to work for Mary Todd Lincoln. Elizabeth Keckley becomes Mrs. Lincoln dressmaker and modiste. Keckley is often called to the White House to dress the First Lady, where she witnesses intimate moments between the President and his wife, receiving the confidences of Mrs. Lincoln. Behind the Scenes is a valuable text for its insightful and very human portrayal of two lionized figures of American history, although the book's publication extracted a high cost from its author, Elizabeth Keckley. The book fuses the slave narrative with a political memoir, and it remains extraordinary for its poignancy, candor, and historical perspective. Intimate and illuminating, Behind the Scenes is the story of a remarkable, resourceful, and principled woman who befriended Mrs. Lincoln and the prominent black leaders of her times, while taking on a role as mediator between black and white communities. The North American Slave Narratives. Thanks for watching.